So the story of Astyanax is a teenager's been not kidnapped, but spirited to another world to save another world. You start off with an axe, kind of like the character for Legendary Axe. You have access to 3 different weapons you can choose throughout the game if you get the upgrade. The knockback or the knock forward is extremely tough, but I also didn't have the magic selected that I want. Depending on the weapon you have, you have access to more or less magic. You have a short power meter at the start of the game, but it will be better and your weapon will be stronger the more as you go through the progress through the game more. So now we have the secondary weapon, which is the spear. I believe it does less damage than the axe, but it does allow you more magic usage. So this is the weapon I'm going to try to stick with for the most of the game, unless I accidentally get the sword upgrade. The various containers that I'm smashing open allows me to have various objects inside. Energy for life, magic, and sword upgrades. For your attacks, for the power meter, you can either wait for your power meter to gather strength before you strike, or you can just repeatedly tap. But the more you let your power meter store up energy, wow, that's unfortunate. For every death, even for your sword upgrade, you'll go back one upgrade. So if you had the sword, you go back to the spear. If you had the spear, you go back to the axe. Very unfortunate for the beginning. So even though right now I'm low on lives, I will be able to gain extra lives once I obtain enough points and get through some stages, so I have to play a bit more careful than usual. Fortunately, I believe the game does have unlimited continues. If you were to run out of magic a bit early, some of these items could have a fairy who if you can elect to give you extra magic or upgrade your sword. So now we have the first actual boss. For the majority of stages, there are mostly stage bosses, as well as some mini bosses that show up. First, you just have to get rid of the small dragon and the knight who's riding it. Once you get rid of the dragon, then the knight who's on it. Terrible 1-1. 1 death is unfortunate, but 2 is just terrible. There's not too much to say for this particular game, so I would just let everybody enjoy the music. Yeah. You'll probably see me freeze time with the magic spells that I have a lot more. Okay, so I didn't I didn't avoid the sword, but it's okay. I'll have a slightly stronger strike now, but I'll have a lot less magic usage, which may or may not prove fatal. But in order to switch magics in the game, I do have to pause just to swap between fire and freeze. There is a lightning magic as well, but I don't see the point of using it. There are certain bosses you can actually utilize the time stop magic against. 2-2 is in one other stage like this. There's just a couple of simple platforms to jump upwards to. Not many enemies in the way. Miniature dragon, which spits out baby dragons. And now Medusa. Apparently from the Famicom version of this, they had to change Medusa's look. For the censorship in this version. Fortunately, with this, no matter what weapon you have, she's not a problem as long as you're not actually standing too close to her for her swipes. The snakes, you can swap between striking her and the snakes. Whatever these small items that keep flying throughout the stage are, they're not too much of a threat, but sometimes depending on the items plus enemies and your sprite on the screen, there's a lot of lag. Because I ran out of magic, now I have access to the fairy, which only shows up once a stage. Which actually helps because since I only have so much magic usage with the sword, I want as much as possible. Bosses won't appear unless every main enemy is off the screen. Depending on what direction the exit is in, sometimes you'll want to have the enemy closer to that side. So in that instance, I really wanted the enemy to stay on the right side so that you're not spending a couple of seconds walking to the edge. Like stage 2, 2-2, 3-2 is just a downward slope stage. Not much in this stage at all. Although the area does look quite evil. Getting hit by a few more enemies than I would like normally. But hopefully there should be some extra health before I reach the very bottom. Okay, good. At least sometimes the game will just give you a red potion instead of a blue. The red just refills partially while the blue refills completely. This enemy, yeah. So the enemy is encased in this huge stone, which breaks after a couple of hits. This for some reason uses bubbles against you. Pointless. And the reason why I really wanted the lives is because the game really starts to pick up in difficulty here. And depending on what weapon you use, you'll definitely want to freeze almost everything in sight, especially because of almost every gap jump you come to, there will be very small fish to very large enemies that will pop out no matter where you are on the screen. If you have the sphere, since you'll have access to the most magic, you can just freeze at will. But since I'm using the sword, I'm only going to be able to freeze some of the enemies. Others I'll have to get rid of so that hopefully I won't get knocked into the muck. But at this point in the game, I benefit with the sword now, so I'll have stronger strikes. So since I've already utilized all my magic and I've seen the fairy who gives me more magic to use, now I have to hope the next item I see will be some sort of health. That's good. So now with enough health and enough magic, providing I don't get knocked off of a platform due to knockback, I should be able to see the end of the stage. So the mini boss of this stage is just a simple gold skeleton, a bit stronger than the average ones. But since I have the sword and a bit more power than early in the game, I just want to let the power meter go up as much as possible before striking. The 4-2 stage is not much of a threat, nowhere near as much as 4-1. That will be saved for round 5-1. The only major threat in this stage is a mid-boss, the Magician. Nothing here more than just a couple of skeletons and whatever these weird items, enemies that are flying throughout the level. But the skeletons are a bit more aggressive. Usually I try to just make sure that I'm enemy somewhere in the vicinity. Even the smallest enemy can cause an extreme knockback, or even knock me forward into a pit. As also with any projectiles that you see as well. I can only hope there will be some kind of health pickup shortly, because I will need it. This is not good since I won't have enough health for the magician. So I'm very low in health, so this could end up being a death, as I was hoping to have a full health pickup somewhere. This is not good. So this is gonna have to be extremely safe. All this boss does is sprout the seeds that will eventually grow if you don't get rid of them, and also uses its vines. So I have to hope I'm not going to be stuck in the corner if it decides to use its vines. Fortunately, the vine has very short range, but I don't want it to be close to me at all, even more so now since I have no health. And if I don't get rid of the seeds, they will eventually grow. So in between all the striking I have to do, it doesn't give me time to build up stronger sword strikes against the boss at all, since I have to repeatedly get rid of the seeds. That's unfortunate. So now I start back at the beginning of the level with a downgraded spear, but it does give me usage of more magic, since I'm no longer using the strongest weapon in the game, as long as I don't pick that weapon back up. But I will definitely need the sword in 5-1. Skeleton refused to go into the pit. Yeah. I probably should not have picked up the sword early in the game, which pretty much caused me to be in the situation I'm in now. But things are okay with the spear until a bit later. Should have used the last of my magic. So now with that death, I'm downgraded back to the axe. So now I definitely want the weapon upgrade. I'm making sure to get rid of enemies now before I start crossing pits. Like, I don't fear the skeletons at all. I fear any kind of smaller item, anything smaller, or projectiles for the knockback. I couldn't have gotten that health before. I actually honestly have to ask Tabosh and any other active runner how much RNG is in the game in terms of the items that can be picked up outside of your weapon, because you don't always get the same item every time, especially when it comes to health. I don't have to completely use up all my magic to see the fairy, but it helps. The fairy is almost guaranteed to show up if you use up all your magic. So since I'm using the spear against the magician, which has the option to freeze me, as well as some other bosses in the game, my strikes won't be as powerful, but I'll at least have more magic for extra fire spells. Or I could actually use the time stop freeze magic to freeze the boss itself. But I want to make sure that the sprite is completely on screen. But from here on out, I'll just use the fire against the boss. So this way I don't have to wait. So now that I have a spear, I'm back at the boss. Take a bit more. I can take a few more hits and I have a little more magic to work with. Terrible. Yeah, not happy about the time though. So now 5-1 is basically an extension of how much tougher the game will be. Basically an extension of what 4-1 is. So you definitely want the sword for the stronger strikes, especially since now you'll have access to more damaging enemies. I was supposed to be freezing enemies until I had access to a sword. Whoa. So now, since I have the sword, this is definitely going to be used for the rest of the game, just simply because the strikes will be much stronger against everything, especially with a fully powered up bar. So with the magic I have left, I'll just freeze what enemies I can. See, now since I have a much stronger power bar than at the beginning of the game, now for some of the particular enemies, they'll just take one strike with a full meter. That's why I don't have any magic anyway. Fortunately, 5-2, there's basically another climber stage. You gotta feel sorry sad for the prisoners that you see stuck here. Unfortunately, unlike a certain game, Magic Sword, you can't help them. So there's nothing else to this particular stage except this mini boss. But there's no main boss of 5, so just use your magic. Call it a day. So now we come to the last 2 sections in the game. This area is meant to be a maze. The only entrances you want to take are any that you see the skeletons show up. Any of these other entrances just take you into other areas of the castle, or back to other places you don't want to. But if you're in a situation where you don't have access to your upgraded sword, you don't actually have to get rid of the skeletons. So yeah. But of course they'll still hit you no matter what. And you just press and hold up to enter the doors. You go through a numerous amount of areas like this until as long as you take in the correct entrances, you'll wind up outside. Yeah, or they're always. Fortunately, you don't have to worry about the majority of the enemies until they start going, until they're about on your level. Get to the point where you have to get rid of something. And what I found out recently is these canisters that you usually see, say if you actually needed something before you go all the way to the right, for some reason another canister will appear. Say if you needed an extra power-up or whatever it might contain. But since we have what we need already, and also one usually appears, there's usually 2 that appears here. Yep. Sometimes you can get that 3rd one to show up by just going back to the left. So the mummy has the ability, just like the magician, to freeze you. This is one of the major bosses in the game. The weak spot is the gem, but you'll want to get rid of the hand that shows up. Or else it fires a small beam at you. In order to get rid of the hand, you need a strong strike. So your pound meter does have to be charged up a bit before swinging. Looks like this will go over slightly a bit above estimate just because of how bad the beginning of the game went, but that's okay. So 6-2 is basically, now you're in the stronghold of the tower for the final stage. 6-2 features all of the minor boss refights. But because your sword is much stronger because of the pound meter and they are much weaker, they shouldn't pose a problem unless you somehow don't have access to your sword anymore. I've even trying this with the spear just in case you do die, is a bit tougher. And since the elevator goes up to the top, I want the enemies to die close to the left as much as possible, so I don't spend a couple of seconds waiting for the walking animation. In the Minotaur's case, as you keep hitting it, it will disappear to the other side. If you don't attack it, it just keeps walking forward. five mini-stage bosses from which you've seen earlier in the game. Even though you don't have much magic usage because you're using the sword, you don't really want to use your magic because you're going to need it against the final bosses. For the last mini boss, you have the small shimmer. Now with those mini bosses out of the way, now to the final two bosses of the game. Hopefully they won't give too much of an issue. So you usually have two of these canisters here. One of them gives me full health. I go back to the left, as if you need something else, just in case. Even if you come here and don't actually have access to full health, you'll automatically start this boss fight with full health and magic, which is very fortunate. This boss, just like the magician and the mummy, also can freeze you, and also decides to swipe 2 times while you're frozen. This is the final boss. Get ready on time after the stage is completed. The weak point is the pearl that you see, but the boss also has the ability to freeze you. If you leave the fire on the ground long enough, it will come after you. So the reason why I'm saving the magic is for when the boss, as you inflict more damage to it, it changes color. So I want the dragon to be red before I freeze it and do the most powerful strikes possible, but it also has the ability to freeze you. You don't hit me anymore. Thank you. That's unfortunate. So now I'll be downgraded back to the sphere, which makes this a bit more of a problem. But since I have access to the extra canister when I fight the second to the last boss, I should be able to upgrade back to the sword, which normally before it wasn't possible. But also since I'm using the sphere, my strikes are not as strong as the sword at all. So as you can see why dying on this stage is a problem, if that extra canister to the left didn't exist. Remind me next time to actually practice for my game. Thank you. You can see how invaluable having a sword is, as opposed to any other weapon. If you die a second time, you go back down to the axe. Don't even just reset at that point. 6-2 may not be impossible with the axe, but I highly don't recommend it. Actually, yeah. Alright, fire, since I have a bit more magic to use. Right. Yeah. Which is very fortunate. As well as you having access to whatever's in the canisters as well. Probably not a major problem with the sphere will be the Lion Eagle Hybrid. Fortunately, as you've seen throughout the game, if you defeat an enemy run him a bit. Now I just have to hopefully make sure that the canister will show up at the left. Okay, that's full health. Canister shows up to the left. Good. Now we're back where we should be. See, since I didn't have access to all my magic, and I have it all back now. So we're back to the way we should be. The best thing I can hope for is the boss not to freeze me at all, so which gives me a bit more health to use against the dragon. So even though I don't have access to much magic, but I do have health, I'm just going to utilize whatever sword strikes I can just to do damage as quickly as possible. That's time. That could have been 10 times better. Oh well. Thank you.